Greetings, small gardens reporting in for this Monday day. Today is a momentous occasion, and the reason why I say that is because congratulations, we made it. um, Today is the 24th hour for my radio station, and what that means is that I reached my first milestone. So today we will no longer be a 1 hour radio station. This is 2 hours now. What that means is that I will be I have a list of topics that I've been deciding what will I be doing the extra hours on, and so the next the typical schedule I've been doing for the Monday through Friday, that's going to continue to the Monday through Sunday. That's going to continue to be what it used to be. What I'm going to do though, what I'm doing now, is adding an extra hour on, and that extra hour will be for what do you call it? A topic that I'm one of my planned topics. And what I decided at first I wanted to do philosophy, but then I realized that I'm trying to appeal to an adult audience here, so nobody wants to really listen to philosophy. If I want to listen to philosophy, I'll talk to my kids. That's probably what they thinking. So I decided that I would do something that I probably out of most of those comfort zones and go into tech. So, but that's going to be for the second hour. Today we're going to be not today. In this hour we're going to be talking about Poly Monday stuff, and Poly Monday stuff has spurred me to talk about domestic and foreign affairs. And the reason why I chose domestic and foreign affairs is because I saw something about the UK, and it made me think about the US. And the reason why is because UK, US, they like brothers who don't see eye to eye, but essentially they do the same stuff. What I'm going to be going into is the relationship between domestic and foreign affairs, and the reason why I feel like that's fitting is because domestic affairs are always affected by foreign affairs, and that when other countries do things that affect foreign affairs, that spurs it spurs a political movement to do domestic things. Now, what that means for us as the small folks is that America can take this opportunity to be really nice, or they can basically turn into jerks. Not that being a jerk is something new for America, but you get what I mean, right? So, beginning domestically, we already know that America is moving towards additional policies to fight terrorism and all that stuff, whatever that means. Foreign wise though, that does mean that America will definitely see a significant change in how they will be hand. The reason why terrorism is so important is because domestically speaking, it has seen a drastic increase in basically a police state nation, and what that means is that there is an emphasis on security. That emphasis on security is only as useful as it is able to extend foreign laws, because a lot of people think that America is 50 states plus Puerto Rico. America is not 50 states plus Puerto Rico. America is 50 states plus Puerto Rico and whatever provinces are related to America. And the reason why I call them provinces is because, like I said, you wouldn't think about America. You wouldn't think about you probably view America as 50 states plus Puerto Rico. No, America has other countries that just aren't under the civilian spotlight, because their relationship to America is not domestic, it's foreign. And that just goes to show what's going on. And to put that in the situation, to put that into perspective, we got South Korea. That, like, stuff like that, like having not bases, but essentially having interest in other people's countries. Now, what that means though, is that freaking man, what that means is that America, you know, you can hear, you're always hearing the news about some incident going on that can relate back to terrorism, but essentially the focus on a national index is on maintaining physical, not maintaining, maintaining foreign what you call it, foreign interest. And the reason why foreign interest is so important is because in our day and age, a country is no longer measured by how big your army is. A country is no longer measured by how big your treasury is. A country is measured by how much you are an influence on other countries. So, in order to maintain these interests, America has to start here, with the whole terrorism policy thing, to basically show other countries, hey, we got our country under control, so you ain't got to worry about us being hypocrites when we try to help you put your country under control. Because as you know, every country didn't start out with the silver spoon that America's did. And it could be inaccurate to say that Americans have a silver spoon, but compared to other countries, we have a silver spoon. So, with the avoidance to argument, I will focus on the point that America needs to be a consistent model to other countries. And in order to do that, that not only takes domestic policies, but it also takes what you call it what do you call it, man? Not funding. It takes involvement into with people and resources into other countries, which can be costly to the country, which can be costly to America itself. So in light of UK's decision to adopt more isolationist policies, you can look that up yourself. Um, America has definitely been given a precedent to basically you know it's like a green light to become more involved in other countries. And the reason why I say that is because usually the problem with foreign affairs is that other countries have their own foreign affairs that they want to worry about and stuff. And the last thing you want is a argument in this modern time, because we don't already had an Iraq war that's been going on for like what, 10, 20 years. Who knows anymore? It's looking more like a Vietnam war, to be honest with you, or even a Korean war, to be honest with you. So last thing you need is a disagreement between two major countries, because that can always lead. It doesn't really. We're not going to talk a World War III. Realistically, that's going to lead to a breakdown in economic relations, which is going to only hurt us, the small people. So it's America's responsibility to not be stupid and put the country in a position to basically make another country saying, you know what, we don't like it, we don't like your terrorists, we don't want your business. And that's you don't want that. Also, and in progression of basically how we are able to view the world, it's important for countries to keep the communication going with the rest of the world. And in order to keep communication going with the rest of the world and learn about what's going on with the rest of the world, you must keep people and resources there. Which is another reason why foreign affairs is so important. Going back to domestic, your American currency is a popular topic because I feel like it is always susceptible to a downward spike, and this downward spike is just could easily be the result of America not doing what it needs to do. Now, not to say that American currency will go down, but you know, whenever a country, you shouldn't take it lightly that when a country says that it's deciding to basically do its own thing, because that then means that the currency system needs to be essentially investigated, not investigated, calculated, because first we have to figure out what's going to happen to the currency system after UK finalizes its policies. And then once the UK finalizes its policies, we have to figure out what's going to happen when the basically after the European Union figures out how much they care about UK not wanting to be bothered anymore. And that can always lead to repercussions, because in those type of contests, people, not people, but how to say this. Damn, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, in these type of contests, friends become the most important thing, and so if America gets pulled into this little argument debate thing they got going on here, then America's gonna suffer for it, because that's how it works. If you don't back me up, then you're not really my friend. If you're not really my friend, I don't need you. And that's how American interest gets pulled into this, because it was even noted that America and the European Union are not don't always see eye to eye. And whenever this situation gets taken in consideration, I figured that since UK is the closest European ally to America, it makes sense that they will be the negotiator. But when the negotiator decides I don't want to play the negotiator anymore, now we have a problem, because then that is going to encourage American aggression into other foreign policies. And since UK doesn't want to be bothered, then countries start crying and stuff, which in turn could result in a backlash in economic development for U.S. outside of the U.S. Now, they mentioned something about Russia having an interest, and I'm like, come on. Why does everything that revolves around the U.S. and UK have to revolve around Russia? Come on. Let's let Russia mind their business like they've been minding their business. So, with that said, American interests are definitely in a position to be what you call it, looked out for. But at the same time, American interests are also in a position to reach a spiral, because if you don't this is why this country stuff becomes real finicky, because it's like a friend game, right? So when you make the argument that you're not my friend, then it gets really petty. Sadly to say, and since it gets petty like that, people say things that they don't mean, or yada yada yada, or they just make statements that are outlandish. Or I mean, internally it probably won't bother us, but in the long run it probably will bother us, and that's the pitfall that America probably needs to avoid, because domestic will never feel what's going on foreign wise. And I say that in the sense that when you're talking about a people bubble versus a nation bubble, then they may intersect, but they'll never be usurped by one another. Like the nation bubble will never fully usurp the people bubble because, as you know, a government entity has its own interests to look out for. So when you see countries parlaying in the UN and all of that other stuff, then it can be easy for you to not take it seriously. But at the same time, it becomes a problem later on when now prices to go outside the U.S. are just drastically higher because the U.S. hasn't been doing that thing, or basically it's a more it be like countries can be real assholes about stuff and decide, you know what, we want you to identify yourself the moment you walk into our airport, and you gotta tell us where you going and how you feel and when you gonna stop feeling that way and yada 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 yada, all this other stuff. I'm like, this ain't got nothing to do with me. Ain't got not a darn thing to do with me. You grilling me like I work for the government. I don't work for the government. Why you asking me all of these questions? So that's really the real extent of things. Which, like I said, it's just one of those things that when you get to the bridge, you be like, that. Maybe I should have looked out for this before. But anyway, moving on to going back to the whole terrorism thing. I feel like it's foreign affairs wise, it's definitely losing steam, but domestically, it's as new as the day it first came out, and I feel like that's a bad indication because once you make a term for public panic and then make it popular, then it becomes less like a serious political issue and more like a cry wolf situation, which I feel like it's turning into because realistically, you're not going to see somebody walking down a U.S. street with an RPG. Realistically, you're not going to see somebody walking around with an AK-47. Realistically, you're not going to see someone threatening to blow something up, and that's just a check of reality because the domestic bubble is not, it doesn't intersect that much with the foreign bubble. So if the policies that you are trying to pass are reflective of a danger that's just not felt domestically, then you can understand how I can feel like people feel towards this whole war thing, because if you told me, I think people have really forgotten that there's even been a war going on terrorism. I think people have forgotten that there is a what you would call a terrorist organization, because people only started paying attention because there was a terrorist attack. There hasn't been a serious terrorist attack in who knows how long. And there's a couple of reasons for that. That just opens the door, because if there was another terrorist attack, then domestically that would spur a lot of panic. Foreignly, if people see that America can't even protect its own borders, then how can America convince other countries to allow them to protect their borders? So America is in between a rock and a hard place right now because domestically they are dealing with a situation that's too calm to be true. Formerly, they probably got everything in the world going on right now. I mean, not ironically, but truthfully, because if you got people and resources in many different parts of the world, right, and you have to keep up and manage all of those things, right, and your ability to keep up and manage those things, depending on your ability to keep up and manage what's going on domestically, and nothing is going on domestically, then your your argument is starting to lose steam because you know if your foreign affairs were basically pushed into motion, basically jump started by what happened domestically, and now things that are happening domestically aren't nearly close to the level of what originally started it, then foreign affairs will have no choice but to decline, beginning decline, and that decline may not necessarily result in financial loss, but it will definitely result in a loss of what you would call relevancy in the world, which is how like I said before, countries measure national influence. So put that together with the UK deciding to focus on themselves, then America is definitely beginning a change for the worse, in the sense that their domestic is hindering their foreign affairs. And if they allow anything to happen domestically that's out of the blue, then the foreign affairs will still continue on that path of decline. Now, in order to move the eye off of terrorism, domestically speaking, America is undergoing another change, and that change is going towards what you would call a internal progression, because presidential wise, the Bush regime was a foreign affair cabinet. It was completely devoted to what's going on overseas. The Obama regime, on the other hand, not so. It started overseas and then it moved back over here. And now that Obama is preparing to basically take the boot, we already know that Trump is not going to have a care in the world about what's going on foreignly, because by definition his business, his life has been purely domestic. So I feel like that's a good change in order to counteract American decline in its foreign bubble, because if America can show to the world that they don't need to depend on terrorism in order to get things done, then the world can't really, basically push America out, because the idea is that once you start something new domestically, and if it's good enough to get foreign interest, which is already starting, kind of sort of, the Middle East is really the Middle East, India. They're more orchestrated towards the infrastructure increase in public works and stuff. But in terms of the East, we I feel like that's how we need to get something to make them say, ooh, I want that. And then that will renew the vigor that America needs in order to keep their foreign affairs relevant. Now, what that means for us, the little people, is that basically we just need to sit back and enjoy the show. I mean, you know, at times it can feel like everybody needs to participate and contribute and all of this other stuff. But now is not the time to be trying to speak on situations or talk about things that are already happening, in the sense that we are in the process of beginning a new, hopefully, wave of what you would call policy. Now, what this may just sound like I ate my own words. However, not really, because you gotta understand that I'm trying to focus your attention on the foreign affairs, because most of the time it can be habitual to focus your attention on domestic affairs. The reason why I'm saying that we should focus on foreign affairs is because that's what's going to give us the cues to basically, maneuver with the government. Well, yeah, basically president, government, yada yada. And how that works is that if you see that all is calm on the Eastern Front, then I feel like that allows people the leverage they need to basically grill the government and be like, yo, what are you doing? Why are we still talking about I don't even know. I don't know what is relevant now in the other side of the world that's keeping politics going, because we know that Saddam Hussein is dead. We know that Osama bin Laden is dead. There's no more talks of Al Qaeda, and this ISIS group that people are talking about are they're not serious, because we don't even have there's not even a ringleader now. So let's connect the dots here. Let's say that Al Qaeda, with no central leadership, has degenerated into a rogue ISIS group, right? Now, it doesn't matter if they're a rogue group, because the idea is that their influence is so limited that they have no chance of reaching U.S. affairs, well, internal affairs. And if they can't even reach into a bubble that originally was affected by what they used to do, then I don't feel like they should be essentially wasting time. Now, this may sound it's probably information that I'm missing and yada yada yada, but I'm like, I count terrorist attacks, and as far as I'm concerned, there hasn't been another 9/11. And if there hasn't been another 9/11, I don't care. So, with that said, I feel like in order to bring a close to this what you would call this loop that we got going on, we need to well, not we need to ask the hard questions about what is the government's plans, not the government's plans, but what does Trump plan to do, or whoever people are supporting for the presidency, what do they plan to do for the future of American foreign affairs, and how can we avoid this I'm not gonna call it scandalous for now, but what can we do for this very disorganized attempt at keeping America informed and stuff. And once you get the answers to that, then there's nothing else to really worry about, because as much as that happens domestically, the world, believe it or not, the world is unaffected by what happens here. And likewise, we are unaffected by what happens to the world, and that's just the type of relationship that exists. And it can be it's probably short sighted to look at the world as inconsequential to your daily life, but at times it can, and it was at one point. And that's just how it is. You can't really, you ain't gotta feel bad about it, you ain't gotta feel good about it. That's just how it is. So with that said, you can't really argue with I feel like we can't really argue and say that the world is in a tumultuous state, or the world is in a uncertain place in terms of what's happening what's happening in relation what's happening internally in relation to what's happening foreignly. Outside terrorism is not a threat to inside America, and inside America terrorism is not a threat to outside America. So that's just a fact, like another fact of a matter of fact thing. Let's see. That does put things into view, though. That are we really going through another Korean Vietnam War? Can we say that? Because there was the Desert Storm and all of that stuff, the Gulf War and all of that in the 70s, 80s, whatever, and a little bit into the 90s, because the whole communism thing fell in the 90s and yada yada yada. But you know things are definitely I feel like history is repeating itself in a foreign affair matters, because I don't even understand the Iraq War anymore. What is being accomplished? I don't understand how because if you remember, the prices at one point, the prices of gasoline or crude oil, whatever you want to call it, was really high. It was like $120 something a barrel or something like that. And that's actually a lot, because a car eats things by the gallon. So business wise, that's probably what spurred gas stations to go up to 3, 4. It was actually probably almost $5 a gallon. And that's a pocket eater. It may not think about it, but if you paying that for a year, and you drive a lot, and you yada yada yada. That for some people, that was really breaking the bank. And then all of a sudden, the prices just swelled back down. I'm like, okay, did they ever release a okay, we done in Iraq report? I'm not sure. Um, more importantly, you know, are we going to have the same situation we have in Korea and Korea and stuff? I don't know if they still got people stationed in Vietnam, but is this going to lead into another what you would call mini city setup here, where you got people basically representing American interests by occupying a part of the country? to what you would call police the situation. And if it is gonna lead to that, what is taking so long? And if it's not gonna lead to that, what's taking so long? And the only reason I ask that is because, if you was really looking out for American foreign interests, I want a free ticket to the Middle East. Like what's up, man? Like if you really want people to get into this foreign interest, then what are you really doing to help the average American appreciate what's going on the outside? Like, I feel like America would have been better off basically building cities for people, sending people instead of going to war in people's countries. They would have been better off sending people over there to basically build their infrastructure up instead of tearing it down and basically saying we're gonna put whatever we want over there. And I say that is because I feel like all economic interests should revolve around jobs, right? And the reason why I say they should revolve around jobs is because there's only so many jobs you can create internally. By pursuing policies that create jobs overseas, now we are doing what a lot of people was worried about America doing on the inverse, which is basically bringing people overseas over here to take jobs. Now, that may not necessarily be a bad thing if you hiring other citizens for in order to help other countries out. But what are you doing for Americans? That's not helping an American out if you're giving a non-American a job. Now, this is not to insult non-Americans, but as you know, it's like a neighborhood. You're gonna always have your neighborhood interest versus the next neighborhood, right? So if America's my neighborhood, I'm going to be concerned about what's going on in my neighborhood. So you can see how I can feel a certain type of way, right? Because we already know that America has pursued policies formally, which has allowed people to get work visas to work in the country, to work in America, and basically get citizenship eventually, and yada yada yada. But what about getting citizenship in other countries? Now, most people would choose what country they work in and basically say, oh, I want to work in the UK. It ain't gonna work like that. If you're lucky, it won't be a third world country. If you're unlucky, it'll probably be a third world country. Problem is though, it's not going to probably be what you would want if it was a third world country. Like, ideally, if I could work in a third world country, I would work to essentially build the metropolitan center that we enjoy over here. And the reason why that works out is because now I get my own little space, and I get to travel, and I get to essentially diversify myself in an environment that will help me out. Now, this may sound stupid, but it's true, because that's another realism that a lot of people forget. Every country ain't doing the same thing. Every country ain't doing as well as the other countries. And you gotta understand that America, UK, Russia, France, Spain, a little bit of Brazil, India, China, Japan. Like, these are like some of the main countries. But like, main countries are what you would call the best of what's going on. And even in the best of the countries, there's still unemployment. So you can only imagine what's going on in non what you would call modern countries. Which, it's stupid, because you would think in a non-modern country, that's the perfect template for basically If America was really concerned about foreign affairs, then they would just basically use other countries' lack of leverage. That's what you call it when a country doesn't have the resources they need to fully develop. Lack of leverage to basically get the leverage that they need. Because if a major country essentially builds your country for you, you can't pay them, because if you could pay them, you would have your own country. So the next thing you could do, excuse me, is essentially let them do it. Let them have their own. Let them create their own little puppet society, something like that. And the reason I say that is because it's not going to cause you to go to war. It's not going to cause you to lose food. It's not going to cause you to go hungry. It's not going to cause you to go cold. It's not going to cause you to do anything besides do better for yourself. Now, you know, a lot of people may think this is stupid, but I'm like, come on. If you had the opportunity right now to get up, pack up, move to another country, and build a essentially your own home, right? Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you contribute to a society that you are essentially, like, basically bring back that old colonialism that people used to enjoy? And the reason why it's cool is because since this is a modern era, you ain't gotta worry about what if we get lost or something, what if we get what if we run out of supply? Like, this is America. We're talking about a modern world here. There's satellites and maps and big machines, and you know what I mean. Like, there's no reason to fear colonialism as far as that opportunity goes, because you're not going to get stranded somewhere. You're not going to get left behind and forgotten. Like all of these things that you would expect a non-developed world to do is not going to happen. Now, there's always the resource argument, but as we know, if America wasn't a modern country, we wouldn't. Domestically speaking, that's not a problem. I feel like America is not suffering from lack of food. America is suffering from lack of innovation, if anything. So that's not an argument. Now, how this will even work out, I don't know, because I don't feel like I feel like colonialism, as far as it's concerned, contemporary wise, hasn't happened since. I say the last time it really happened was the 19th century, something like that. The 19th or the 18th century, something like that. And I say that is because that's just commenting on the establishment of what you would call like settlement cities in Africa, where basically different countries basically set up cities, coastal of course, on the continents of Africa in order to take advantage of the it's basically free land. And even then, that's had its limitations, because as you see, if you look at non-African cities, all of them are on the coast. None of them are inside of Africa. And that just goes to show that colonialism has its limits. It's not it's not an empirical thing, because the idea is that expansion is only as expansion is only as it only has the room to move depending on how many resources you expend into it. So the idea that countries decided to build coastal cities just means that resource wise, this is a very expensive process. Especially if you're talking about building in places that are like the Middle East, like where we are basically throwing all of the attention to the Middle East. You can't really just habitually just build new neighborhoods and cities there because the environment is not conducive to just willy nilly agriculture. You can't just be like, oh, we'll just start making farms and figure out the rest later. It's not gonna work like that. If they even do make it work in terms of like energy wise, the Middle East is beautiful because with all that sun and yada yada yada, sun, space, um, infrastructure, not because the idea is that in other countries they have to pave roads. The Middle East doesn't really have a problem paving roads. The Middle East has a problem having roads to lead to stuff. But you're talking about a desert culture, that makes sense. So, there's that. So that takes a lot of planning. That's most importantly a lot of resources. So it can't even be seen. American contemporary colonialism can't even be seen as an aggressive move because there are a lot of negotiations that need to happen anyway. Because you can't just say, you know what, whatever city we're gonna pick a spot on the city, we're gonna pick a spot in the country, and we don't care whoever there. Excuse me, they gotta move. You can't do that. That's gonna attract too much attention. So I feel like that would definitely give a boost to American economy because now you have a demand for jobs, now you have a demand for people, and now you need a lot of collaborations with a lot of different companies and stuff because we talking about moving houses because nobody's going to wait for their house to get built. We're talking about moving resources for food we're talking about a need for cars to be moved over there. We have a need for businesses to essentially be seated over there, which is actually possible because I feel like that's another advantage of American business that they don't really have a problem. Um, I don't feel like there's any business that's really like literally selling off the shelf. So, you can always move a business over there and see how it works out. And I feel like America just has the resources to at least start one new city. And the reason why I'm focusing on one is because on a strategic side, one city is going to be surrounded by other cities naturally. So you're not going to trying to multi-manage and plan more than one city is not going to work out. That's just too much work. Also, the sheer amount of jobs that you're going to need to get this all running is going to be crazy. We're talking about going back to the basics: education, police, hospitals, hella construction work, waste treatment, electricity, internet. All of the modern things that we enjoy over here needs to be moved to another location, and that's just gonna be crazy. So, whenever if I don't, this probably would strike Trump's, and this is why I feel like Trump is the right man for the job because we're talking real estate, location, 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 and I feel like no man knows that better in the world in America than Trump. The perfect location makes the perfect business. So this is just food. This is not even food for thought. This is the truth. Like this needs to happen. This is the economic boom that America needs to get back on top. Legitimately get back on top. Because nobody else is, if anybody else is planning this, then it must be a secret thing. I must be out of the loop, which is probably true. I must be out of the loop then, because there's no way this could be something that's already being planned and nobody's talking about it. But excuse my excitement. I got that kid syndrome where I get real excited about stuff because it's something I picked up, because once you get used to knowing what you're talking about, then it's easy to trick your mind into thinking I know what I'm talking about. So if I sound like unicorns and rainbows, then excuse my naiveness. But if I don't sound like unicorns and rainbows, spread it, man. Spread it. See how other people feel about it. I don't know. This is the end of the first hour. I will follow my shoutouts like I usually do. Shout out to Juanita Hooper. Shout out to Shamin Skinner. Shout out to Chris Rasquez. And shout out to my mans at the mall who forgot to show his face, man. I remember you, man. I'm gonna be at the mall every week till I see you, man. Word up, man. You know where to find me, man. Word up. Shout out to anonymous pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63. I do it for you guys. Now you do it for me, and then I do it back. No, I do it for you first, and you do it for me. And now I'm getting back to you because I got this second hour now. What that does mean is that after I do my shout outs, I give you a break. I don't know, I'll maybe get you a beverage or something if you're listening, or get you a take a bathroom break. Basically discuss what's going on, cause I said a lot today. I plan to say a lot for the rest of the week. I got a couple of stuff planned, but yeah, this is going to be what what you call one of those commercial breaks, just because it's stylistically it's appropriate. And with that said, enjoy silence for the next, by my timer, 6 to 7 minutes. On the next hour, I will begin with the tech. Welcome back. And on this hour, we will be talking about tech stuff. And what tech stuff revolves around is a lot of things that are electronic and what essentially falls into basically the tech category. And today, in this tech talk, we will be talking about servers. We are going to be going into servers as far as they are concerned with your day-to-day activities. And the reason why is because a lot of people don't understand why their computers are slow. Slow. A lot of people argue about bandwidth and all this other stuff. We let those people talk when it's not bandwidth. Essentially, we will be starting with servers and as to what they are. Servers are a resource for internet that allows a essentially a machine to one computer to serve a lot of computers without needing to connect to them individually. And how it works is that the computer creates, like, let's say you have a website, right? Like Amazon. Amazon is able to handle a lot of requests because they have servers, more than one, of course. This is an Imagine machine that has a limit like any other machine. They are able to handle requests from people trying to buy stuff by first you connect to the internet, which is also a server, which also needs a server. That's why it's called an internet resource. And how that works is you go through your ISP, right? They contact their servers, and their servers contact more servers. And how that works is that your ISP is basically your gateway to essentially other people's servers. That's why you need an ISP, is because you need someone who is trusted among other people's servers to get into their servers, so that nobody keeps asking you, hey, why you going to this? Why are you going up? You know what I mean? So after you get your ISP to give you access to Amazon servers then says, hey, hi, how you doing? What you want? You tell them what you want. Then they be like, okay, give me a second. And then they fetch whatever they've been programmed to give you once you've asked them what you want. And essentially, server talk isn't really server talk. It's just it's like, okay, have you ever heard of computer languages, right? You have HTML, which is this website stuff. You have Java. You have C plus. And these are all different computer languages, which are necessary to make the computer do different things. So servers talk in their server language in order to basically ask each other for favors. So you ask the server for a to basically you give it information, and then it sends the information back to you completed on the server side. And how it works is that somebody's using that server in order to offer you a business or a service. In this case, it may be you brought something. Maybe you brought an Amazon candle or something like that. So now that they have all your information, they can do their part in the real life, which is to get it prepackaged and yada yada yada. So basically, essentially, servers are what you would call internet receptionists, basically. And they also function. They're like the cashier, the receptionist, and the calculator all in one. So that's essentially how that works out. And the reason why that's so important is because most people think they're paying for service, but you're not paying for a service. You are basically paying to use somebody's machine. And how that works is that by using somebody's machine, you're basically asking permission, asking them to do you a favor, which is so you can play your little Call of Duty games and yada yada yada, which also requires its own individual server too. Um, and the reason why you even need a server in the first place is because you need a gateway into other people's servers. Now, you may be thinking, well, I just get my own server is because you have to. This is privileges are it's a business thing. It's a Wall Street thing, really. It's like uh it, people who run servers have to. It's what you call a modern day guild, right? And if you ever heard of guilds, then you know that in order to get into a guild, you have to know somebody. So, in order to know somebody, you have to either already be associated with the guild or you have to meet somebody who's already in the guild. You can't just be like, walk up to the guild and be like, hey guys, I'm in, right? No, it doesn't work that way. And this is why dealing with servers is such finicky business. It's actually very sketchy in my opinion because servers they most people worry that servers take your information, but you should be worried that basically you have to pay for internet because you're not friends with enough people. But that's another argument. And the reason why servers are so important is because the reason why internet is so expensive, at least the good internet is so expensive, is because you are competing with other customers on how much you are willing to spend for internet. And this may sound stupid, but it's the truth. This is how society has been able to reproduce the societal system by essentially creating technology which is dependent upon who's friends with who. So you can understand why everybody how it can be a very lucrative business to have a server which has access to other people's servers, because that basically means that you have free access to people's information. Now, there are also limitations and security and yada yada yada, but when you're talking about the free web, and I say free web, like think of the web as a mall. If you ever seen the Dave Chappelle show, I feel like he's depicted the internet very well. The internet is like the mall. And if you've ever been to the mall, you know how busy that is. The internet is the mall because, you know, most people's businesses are open 24 hours a day on the internet. You may have certain businesses that close in the early hours of the day for maintenance, yada yada yada. But for the most part, everybody's businesses are open 24 hours a day on the internet. And that's what made the internet king, because now you don't need people to stay awake for 24 hours to run your business. Your businesses will run itself off of electricity. Now, how this gets really political is that, you know, ideally you should there are hoops you have to go through to get to people's internet. You have to identify yourself. You have to say what type of machine you're using, what is the signature of the machine. What basically your machine needs to have an ID. It needs to have a essentially how did you get here? That's how servers work. You need to have a server address for how you got to the this server's address and yada yada yada. And that can be a problem when people start lying. Now, the ability to lie with a server is it's one of those trade skills. You can't just don't believe the hype that you could just go to school and learn how to hack servers. That's a lie. Nobody's going to teach you to do something illegal. That's retarded. Um, but there are people that learned how to hack servers. Not hack servers, but basically it's not really hacking. They just learn how to lie on the computer. So, they lie. They get into the server, they steal information, and this becomes a problem when you're talking about businesses, because then that means, let's say for example, I run an online business and I deal in online currency. Like, if you ever heard of Bitcoin, that's a online currency which has real world conversion. And if I have a business that uses Bitcoin, or that converts to Bitcoin, or that can be used to generate Bitcoin, then you can essentially get into someone's business, make them make you money, and then cash out. It gets even worse when you're talking about online banking, and where you're essentially taking people's real life money, because the bank is not going to be like, oh, somebody took 1,000, 2,000, 3. You know what I mean? And what you would call imaginary money is not imaginary money, because if there is if somebody uses a bank's essentially information to basically say, hey, this bank gave me this much currency, then that bank has to come out of pocket for that in real life. So that's why, online banking isn't dealing with imaginary numbers. All of this money is very real. And it becomes a real problem when people have to pay this money in real life. So, like, you can understand why that can inspire things like the internet police and stuff. Now, where things really get crazy is you got these social networking sites. When you are able to steal someone's information as to where they live, how they look, who they're friends with, yada yada yada, then you're making your own creepy business off of being a weirdo, and essentially selling people's pics to people and yada yada yada, or stealing people's pics and selling them, and yada, like things get real like tricky. Going back to the more applicable use of the server, which is to basically the reason why servers are garbage sometimes is because, let's say your ISP has a good server, right? And their response time for their servers is lightning quick. Now you online, and now you're using whatever the developer servers are using, whoever they pay to essentially run their game. If they've taken a shortcut and said, I don't really care about speed, then you just wasted whatever your money you spent on top internet, because it won't matter since your server is going through their server. So, this could be a problem, because you're essentially paying for decreasing quality. And this is just a flaw of servers, because you will always have a proxy to another person's server, in the sense that you will always have to go through somebody else's server to get to a server. And even if you have your own server, you still have to go through people to get to a server. So, in other words, this whole server business is doo-doo, because all it takes is one person who doesn't want to pay for a good quality server. Well, servers, you never pay for just one server. You're talking about a business. For servers, and everybody suffers, because now it's why you have these game releases and people be like, yo man, why the game keep crashing, man? Come on, son. Yo man, I just died. You just messed up my kill death ratio and all this other stuff. And that's just life. Now you can I don't this is a idea, but I feel like businesses need to essentially offer They need to, instead of spending all of this money on game merchandise, they need to get serious with this multiplayer stuff, since multiplayer is seemingly dominating the gaming industry, and basically say, yo, we're gonna give you a flat price for the game. We don't know how you got the console. You'll handle that yourself. And if you want to play on a competitive level, then pay for the top tier servers. And if you don't want to pay on a competitive level, then don't pay for the top tier servers. Pay for the basic servers. I don't encourage anybody to take shortcuts if you're trying to play online. There is no shortcut. You either spend money or you don't play at all. Don't ever go for the cheap servers, because that's retarded. If you were paying top dollar for internet, right? You wouldn't want a game company to take shortcuts on you. So if a game company is trying to reach you directly, you shouldn't try. You shouldn't encourage them to take shortcuts. And the reason why this is important is because gaming is getting more and more expensive. Nowadays they talking about uh 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 this Xbox One, PlayStation 4 stuff, and they've already had the price drop multiple times. More importantly, now they're talking about something about virtual reality or something like that. I'm like, dog, this don't even got it. This ain't even touching multiplayer, dog. I don't even want to see how servers are gonna handle VR. So we ain't worried about that. So there's that, and yeah, man, the things are just servers. They're the evil of the internet, man. They made it possible, but they're just evil, man. Because bad server quality, bad servers could kill any gaming experience. Bad servers are the reason why the internet is taking steps backwards, and bad servers are the reason why internet is losing its value. Like, internet at one point was replacing the TV, right? Now we're going back to the TV, because when you really think, if you play on the internet long enough, then you know that your experience is definitely determined by how well your machine is able to function. So, you playing and your game starts seizing up, you feel a certain way about it, right? Likewise, if I'm playing online and I feel like the server is slowing me down, I'm like, yo, dog, I've invested in good internet. What's going on here, man? So I'm like, it's doo doo, because the price, like, most people don't notice it, because most people have internet, smartphone, yada yada yada, and that's handled by a separate server on its own. So most people ain't really worried about that. But when you get home and you try to play the COD and all that other stuff, the Battlefronts, Super Mario, Smash Brothers, all that stuff. Oh yeah, they got this little Pokemon came out with a little fighter now, a little multiplayer fighter. You talking about internet that can't respond because I ain't paying enough for it? It's like, come on, man. Why are you charging me for a computer I wouldn't even be able to utilize anyway? So it's like, just a bunch of robbers, man. They are just a bunch of robbers, and I feel like that's just the problem of the. That is the new problem that is facing technology today. Servers are being used to rob people. They're getting better. They've gotten better. Broadband was a proof of that. It's just that now it's not a matter of can servers do it. It's a matter of, can people pay for this? And the reason why I even say that is because companies are not even doing their due diligence They're trying to sell people. They're trying to use the internet to sell cable and phone. I'm like, come on, man. Come on. You're essentially selling the same product over and over again, right? Because if I have a phone, right? If I have a smartphone, right? That's automatically a phone knocked out. It has access to the internet, so that's my server, right? Why why do I need a non-smartphone device to give me TV? If anything, you could just give me a device, a a an accessory to my smartphone that would allow me to have TV. Instead of making people pay for these equipment installations, putting holes in people's walls, putting freaking dishes everywhere, just doing all types of stupid stuff that's non indicative of the world that we are in today. And that's just a testament to where we are right now. We are in a rob. Server wise, we are getting robbed. Everybody's getting robbed. And that's just the truth of the fact of the matter. And people, and the only reason I'm even talking about this is because people need to be aware that you're getting robbed. You are getting robbed on every level. You're getting robbed because people are using servers to basically um um what you call it, man? To leverage quality against you. And that's just sad because we didn't have this problem when the personal computer first came out, right? We didn't have this problem. Even when the internet sucked, right, and everything had to go through a wire, still didn't have this problem. But as soon as servers started catching up in speed, right, now we having all these problems where quality is so good now, it's being division, categorized, exploited really, and that's doo doo, man. Like you would have been better off selling a server as a hardware piece, a constant another extension of your smartphone. And the reason I say that is because the server is a computer. People forget this. The server is a computer. It is a computer that works with the computer, the personal computer. So you're telling people, oh, you don't need a server, you just need a router. And that's a lie. It's a freaking lie, man. You don't need a router, you need a server. They're only selling you the router because they know they have the server. So, that's just a testament to where we are right now. Where tech is becoming so diversified that people are basically able to sell you not even half the story. They selling you a small percentile of the story and making just stupid money off of it. Just ridiculous money. It's like if you could sell a person a controller first, then you sell them the console, right? And then you sell them the disc tray. Oh, you thought the console came with? No, it don't come with a disc player. They sell you the disc player, then they sell you the outlets, the connections to the internet, and the connections to the electricity. Then they sell you the headset so you could talk and all that other stuff. Just basically taking everything in pieces and selling it to you, and that's some bull. That's some straight bull. So I really had to go on service first because that's some bull. And most people, and to be honest with you, the only reason why this is even really a problem is because you probably wouldn't even notice if somebody was selling you decreasing quality. Because how would you measure? You wouldn't. You would literally have to see it. You would literally have to see your internet go back to dial-up before you even notice that there was a change. And that's some bull too because Another way to sell quality is to basically be like, oh, if you download it, you can make it fast. If you upload it, you make it slow, so they don't notice, or vice versa, depending on what your demands are. And then how they go into it more is that they basically take your what do you call that shit, son? Oh, excuse me. Um, 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 they take your speed and they water it down. They water it down. They water it down, and they blame it on other customers. And you know that's just doodle too. You gonna tell me that Bob next door is eating up enough server space to slow my connection down to less than a megabyte? And that's another thing. I noticed this today. When did they switch from bytes, megabytes to bits? Like just playing with people intelligence. Like it's sad, man. It's really sad, man, because I know people ain't stupid. People know this stuff, right? So we all know that they was counting bytes for the longest time, and all of a sudden we counting bits now, as if we don't know that bits are smaller than bytes. So I'm like, why are we doing this? Why can't you just do? There's already a console thing going on, right? Why do I have to go through a ISP just to get access to a server I can just get straight access to through my if I already own the server? And you know, that's just a problem fact of the matter, because servers are like a what you would call it's like a secret, because you use the server to get to the internet, and then from the internet you get to another server. However, why is there a middleman? That's just robbery. I don't want a middleman. I want to get straight to the whoever's server I'm trying to. I want to go straight to their server, which requires the internet, and I can't do that. Like you've purposely put in an extra hoop for me to go through, because you're taking advantage of the fact that I don't know I need a server, or I don't want to get a server, or if I get a server, I still have to I have to go through your hoops and anybody else's hoops if I'm trying to get to their servers. So it's like, yo, man, this server monopoly you got going on gotta stop, man. And it is a monopoly. You can't argue it's not a monopoly. It is a monopoly, because if anybody's ever thought about trying to get their own become their own ISP, go through the try to think. Don't even go through the hoops. I'm not gonna tell nobody to go through the hoops. Get somebody explaining you what you will need to do, and get amazed, man. Be amazed by how much people essentially insult your intelligence. But you know, this server stuff is hot. It's a hot topic, man. It's very hot, man. And the reason why it's very hot is because as this internet stuff gets more and more complicated, it's going to spur more and more what you would call server legalism, right? And the reason why it's server legalism is that the internet is moving towards being what you would call it? Um, 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 Not censor. It's moving towards being almost under the same regulation as servers are. And the reason why it's doing that is because the idea is that information is the commodity of the server. So when somebody is using an ISP to collect information on you, you will understand how this will make it more and more easier to figure out what you're doing on the internet. Now, this isn't trying to inspire a suspicion of companies. It's to make you realize that this is what happens when you use other people's stuff. It encourages a what you would call a parent syndrome, right? So now you got companies and stuff that are becoming interested in becoming your parents by basically saying the internet is no longer for anybody, everybody. And how they do that is, they're going to sell you server access and levels. Pretty soon, people are going to have to pay for what you would call access to the regular internet, access to everything, versus giving you access to. It's going to start off. You're going to have basic access, right? You can use Google. You can use You can look up any educational source, and then the next level is going to be entertainment, and then on a side level you're going to have gaming. On the other side level you're going to have uh, 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 what you would call adult activities. And then on another side level you're going to have when they finally get this internet and TV stuff working, you're going to have TV. So once they really sort out how to get this internet server relationship in the same boat, yo, the internet is gonna have everybody getting robbed, man. They gonna be giving you the most basic package of everything ever and telling you you're getting a deal, which they already technically doing, to be honest with you. And what's really allowing this to happen is that people can sell you up a river. It's telling you getting ridiculous like I was looking at Xfinity today, and I was just getting annoyed. I was very annoyed because you telling people they getting 200 megabytes, bytes, right? We still talking bytes, right? And download speeds. And do you that's a lot. You know damn well that's a lot, man. Because you thinking 200 megabytes in download speed means that I'm gonna be moving at. You're not gonna be moving at 200 megabytes in downloads in regular speed. They're lying. They're basically going to say, we're going to make your download speed so fast you won't notice that it's not that fast. And then when you ask, hey, how come my regular speed ain't 200 megabytes per second or whatever they trying to sell you, they're going to be like, oh, that just covers download speed. What about upload speed? And you see how they making more and more money. It's ridiculous, man. It really is ridiculous. And it all just revolves around that lack of knowledge of servers. Servers made the internet. Servers are the reason why the internet is as accessible as it is. Servers are what you would call the beacons of the internet. And I say that they're beacons because you can't reach another server without first having your own server. And that's the basic principles of the internet. The idea is that if there was only one server in the world, that server would allow somebody to reach any and every machine, anywhere, everywhere. And the reason why is because that machine, that server access, right, would allow people to basically have the only web page on the internet, right? And if you have the only web page on the internet, then everybody has to come to you. Now, realistically, this probably isn't possible. However, if the service that you have for that website is good enough, then it is pretty possible. So that's why you will have access to everybody's machine, because that one server will be the only way you could get to the internet. So the only way to do that is to go through the router, yada yada yada. Now we selling routers and yada yada, which is not a server. Not even close to a server. That little piece of crap ain't nothing. Can't even blow in a server's direction. And that's just crazy. So servers are important to this tech talk, because they are the reason why this tech talk came into fruition. They are the what you would call this is my cornerstone on my tech talk. I needed something that would make people believe in the relevancy of tech. And tech is very relevant. More importantly, probably on a softer note, servers are they are a clue as to how technology will develop in the future. Technology, I probably already talked about this, will be sold in pieces. However, everything will always be dictated by how well or not well a server is able to respond on any day of the week. So, if you got servers, as servers get more and more intricate, and as more and more devices allow servers to expand that service to everybody, now we dealing with a what you would call a server aristocracy, right? And the reason why it's an aristocracy, right, is that if you don't have a server, you ain't nothing to the internet. You're not. It's like the peasant system, feudalism all over again. Kings have the internet, have servers. Excuse me. Kings have the servers. Peasants need the servers. So not to diminish your respect and your personhood and all that stuff, but this is how serious this tech stuff is. Servers are creating that societal divide that has been missing since electricity first made everybody comfortable. And the reason is because the sheer information available from servers will make people want to invest in the internet, will make people want to have access to the internet. It's like it's the perfect leverage. So what that means is that as people get more and more into the internet, they'll start to notice how important servers are. And then once you get to that point, now you got people that want to create their own little feudalism system. And this kind of sort of happens with rogue servers, right? We call them rogue servers because I remember those people I was talking about that basically learn how to get access to other servers without permission. Those are the guys that end up doing dumb stuff like faking names, allowing people to connect to their servers so they could get access to your computer, allowing you to use their servers so they can watch what you're doing on the internet. Just all this type of stuff that basically allows people to feel better about themselves. And now I can't even calling these people losers is not doing it justice, because they're not really losers because they know something that you don't. They know something that I don't. So servers is serious business, man. They really are, because without a server, if all the servers in the world were destroyed today, the internet would collapse. They would no longer we be back to looking at walls again. That's how dependent servers are. That's how dependent technology is on servers. Everything that has been keeping business going is server side. So this all the only thing you can get from this without feeling any type of way is an appreciation for servers. Understand that servers are the quintessential tech that you need, the hardware that you need. Servers are more important than these little shitty. Excuse me, I keep cursing. These little game systems that they selling now. Because these game systems wouldn't be nothing because without server side assistance. They need servers so that they can fully offer the services that these companies are depending on to make they yearly profits. Servers are keeping a lot of businesses alive right now. So you can understand why it can be a commodity to have a server which can access people's servers. It can be a commodity to excuse me. It can be a commodity to know how to use a server. It can be a commodity to basically have access to servers, which may not necessarily require a server, because the part of server tech another facet of server technology is that access to it is not always restricted to non-physical connections. A physical connection with a server can be established provided that you have the hardware to connect with it physically. And that's just a consequence of the hardware software relationship. We'll be talking about that later. But focusing on servers, they are the I feel like they are the they are the poison of the society today, because you can't even convince people of the danger of servers. You wouldn't even be able to explain the danger of servers, because their side is so the server is so it's so invisible in terms of scope that people wouldn't even be able to realize it until they've seen what a server can really do. And you can't see what your server can really do because that within itself is behind a wall of protection. And that wall of protection is whoever is being trusted to reach these servers, these additional servers in the first place. So all you're gonna say is that servers are basically um They are basically the liabilities of today. Now, I'm not trying to sound like the devil or anything, but what I'm trying to tell you is that they're the reason why, you know, other things get overlooked. Like, for example, nowadays we are moving more towards a car culture, right? Cars, servers. If I had to choose between owning a car and owning a server, I would own a server every time. And I'm gonna tell you why. A car can take you from point A to point B, right? A server, on the other hand, can take you to any point provided there's a server there. And if there's a server there, which there most likely is, then the maximum amount of points that a server can take you at any time will always overlook a car anyway. So in reality, a server, as much as money as people invest in a car, you'll be better off investing in a server, because with that type of money invested, you will have the resources to essentially make money off of other people. And the reason why you are making money off of other people is because this cyber world that we have immersed ourselves in wouldn't be possible without server access. You can't pay your bills online without a server. You can't even access your Yahoo or your Google Mail without a server. You can't get updates about what's going on in the world through a news app without a server. Can't play a video game without, well, you can't play a multiplayer video game without a server. You can't download anything from the internet without a server. You can't email somebody without a server. You can't text message people without a server. Nowadays, you can't even call somebody without a server. So, servers are just doing everything nowadays that people are comfortable with, right? And what this means is that you could essentially rebuke the influence of servers, right? And be like, you know what? I don't want to use a server. But that would essentially put you so behind in the world, right? You would have to go through so many extra hoops just to do simple stuff like pay your bills. Keep up with your finances. That you wouldn't want to do. You wouldn't want to push away the convenience that servers are allowing you to enjoy. And that's just the growing leverage that servers are having in this world. That servers are making life so easy that people ain't gonna care about being taken advantage of. But you should, because the servers are nothing without people. Servers need people because they wouldn't have a purpose without people. You don't need a big server to handle a lot of requests if you don't have any requests. You don't need a server, a ISP, if nobody's looking to do online business. Servers are so dependent on people that people are the reason why servers are even growing as they are. So, this isn't supposed to make you feel like you need to do something. This is just to say, hey, servers need to be. You need to know what is. You need to talk to your ISP and see what's up with the server stuff. You need to talk to your ISP and see why they are charging you so much. You need to talk to your ISP and see why you need an ISP in the first place. Because I can't blame you if you think I don't know what I'm talking about. Frankly, I wouldn't get mad. I wouldn't be mad. I would probably be more mad at you if you automatically assumed I know what I was talking about. So, I should a little research for you. And if it's useful to you, good. If it's not useful to you, well, now I know what I'm talking about. But all in all, you need to at least be aware of the world that servers are building. Because if you don't, you're just gonna keep having this blank idea of what the internet is, what is allowing all of this to happen, why technology is even developing as it is, and you can't do that. You just can't, because once they really start getting good at this stuff and they're able to essentially just use jargon to confuse you, or just basically just calling anything and everything a computer, then you're going to be so lost that you're not going to understand that none of these computers are computers without a central computer server. And that's the end of my rant. I just had to rant about it because servers just, I can't stress, I will never be able to stress how servers, how much servers have impacted the world. So I'm just going to leave you with that impression that maybe I need to do, maybe I should look up some server stuff and see what's all the big huss about. Huff and puff. And with that said, time to shout out my supporters again. Shout out to Juanita Hooper. Shout out to Shamia Skinner. Shout out to Chris Vasquez. Shout out to my mans at the mall who I need to run into. Always expect to see me at the mall every Saturday. Always expect me to be doing good things. Shout out to anonymous patrons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, and 63. Supporters. Understand, I will always look out for your interest in my work. As far as my business venture is going, I'm still working on it. I don't want to outsource the label because I'm so close to completing the product that outsourcing would just endanger the whole well-being of the project. My charity is building. I will be seeing what's going on today. Today. Let you know by the end of Tuesday. By Tuesday. Besides that, get used to the tech hour. I have a lot of things I want to talk about. Once I get through the easy stuff, I'll be going into stuff that might make you go ooh and ah, depending on how much your interest in tech is. If you're not so interested in tech, then don't worry about it. I have I have additional things planned for the additional hours. My next goal will be a week in hours, which is 24 times 7. We're already a percentile there, 24 hours, 1/7. So, expect that. That's not close enough though, so don't worry about it too much. Last thing. Besides the tech hour, everything else will be going as planned. It's still Poly Mondays, still Historical Tuesdays, it's still Contemporary Wednesdays, Pop Thursdays, Gender Fridays, Random Saturdays, and Religious Sundays. None of that will change, even though I add additional hours, which will talk about additional things like the tech hour. And besides that, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Thank you for sticking around and have a good day.